It's that time again. It's time for another Randy rant. Yes, primarily because the Democrats are driving me nuts again. I'm sorry if you're a Democrat, but please listen up. You need to change your methodologies. It's not working to just fight Trump all the time. You got to pay attention to the facts. You got to pay attention to what's really going on. You got to pay attention to the possibility that you might have to give an alternative, another way of doing things. I'm sorry, but it's just so true. What we're going to talk about today is that the Democrats are screaming about the firing of the BLS head, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And they're worrying that future stats will be tainted somehow by a new administrator. How could they be worse? If they're so wrong as to be useless in terms of their ability to be used by analysts the way that they are now, then we can only hope for better. But horrifically wrong would only be the status quo. So if you follow me on this channel, you know that this has been true for a long time. We've been looking at these numbers and going, how come they can't be better? How come they can't be? How come they can't come into the modern world? Trump fired BLS Commissioner Erica McIntarfer. Sorry, McIntarfer, a Biden hire who took the position January 29th, 2024. So about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half ago. She's a career civil servant. She's had a long history of moving up the ranks, but her time in this job has been horrifically questionable when it comes to the stats. Take a look at these modifications in the revisions to non-farm payrolls. If you go back and you look before COVID, here's this spike during COVID, and you go back and you look all along here, all the way back to 2014, you can see upward and downward revisions, see the small revisions, up and down, about equal amounts of up and down. Then you've got this craziness during COVID, and then you've got after COVID, you've got a much more radical differences, much huge changes each month. Here's major upward revisions during the Biden administration, major upward revision, lots of upward revisions, huge spikes of upward revisions during this time. Okay, now you get into 22 and 23, you'll notice that after they settled down for a minute, they started getting wild again, wild swings, up and down, up and down, up and down like crazy, much bigger swings than we've ever seen in history. And we've been noting it on this channel over and over again. Your new administrator came in about here, but she's already got, whether I don't know what she was doing prior to that, but whoever was prior to her was not getting it right. And again, we've been reporting on it. Now she comes in, we get these wild swings, and then look at this massive swing that we've just experienced. It's not like something normal. It's something completely out of the ordinary. So what's going on? Is this political? Is it something that is being done on purpose in order to hurt Trump? Is it something that is just incompetence? So Brad Ombre, he goes under the handle on X of 𝐄𝐦𝐚𝐲, _GC. He says the Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner should have been fired by Joe Biden in August of 2024, just 8 months after she had been hired, when job numbers were revised down by 818,000. Do you remember that? Now, that's not showing up on that chart that I just gave you there a second ago. It's not showing up there because that was this overall thing that they do every 6 months. He says now President Trump is doing what Biden wouldn't, firing this blatantly incompetent person. But it shouldn't stop there. The entire BLS staff needs a top-to-bottom audit because recurring revisions of this magnitude don't happen unless you're hiring people who've never passed a basic stats class. In other words, they're DEI hires. Now, that's him saying it, not me. Now, keep in mind, this is me speaking now, keep in mind the BLS is responsible for far more than just the labor numbers. As you who follow this channel know, I, along with many others, have complained that data collection and analysis of much of this data that we've seen over the years is so sad that it strains credulity that we have not updated given the current methods that we have. Now listen to these departments that she is responsible for. She gets the employment situation monthly. She gets the consumer price index, the CPI, and then the producer price index. Now, we haven't had any complaints about the consumer price index or the producer price index where you have 6-month lags. Even the president of the chairman of the Fed, Powell, has said repeatedly over and over again, he says, well, these housing prices, they're way down, they're coming down, but it takes 6 months or longer for them to show up in CPI. Why would you just say that? Why? Okay, well, we just have this problem where it takes 6 months for them to show up. Why wouldn't you change it? Why don't you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and say we need these to be more current? And it's not just there. The producer price index is hers. She's in charge of that. The employment cost index. So we're trying to and of course the employment cost index, when we're looking at that, is to see whether or not real wages are going up or down. Now, quite frankly, if she's political, that's the thing I would have tried to jam up over the last 4 years, because under Biden, real income is dropping like a rock. And under both Trump's administrations, it's been going up. Then we get the JOLTS numbers. The JOLTS numbers come from them too. The JOLTS numbers, people have been questioning them for a very, very long time. There seems to be a tremendous amount of people that are just kind of putting up ghost requests for jobs. Well, if you're a statistician, why wouldn't you be analyzing that? Why wouldn't you be going in and trying to take that noise out? Try to find a way to make your numbers more realistic, something that people can depend upon. Then you get the current population survey, provides detailed demographic data on employment, unemployment, and labor force characteristics. This is very, very critical. You get productivity. The productivity numbers come in. All of these are from this one department that can't get stuff right. Productivity, I've been kind of a little bit shocked that we haven't seen better productivity numbers, but remember, the numerator and the denominator of the productivity numbers, they have to get those from these other reports. This is basically just a division number where you're dividing the amount of GDP into the number of people that are working in the labor force. But if you get both of those wrong, if you got the labor force numbers completely wrong, then your productivity numbers are going to be completely wrong also. You've got the occupational employment and wage statistics of providing the employment and wage estimates for over 800 occupations. You've got workplace injuries and illnesses. We don't see that one. Then you got the monthly labor review. You've got international comparisons. You have state and metro area employment hours and earnings. You've got the usual weekly earnings numbers that come in. You've got the national compensation survey. All of these are just some of the things that this bureau does. Well, great. We need the stats, but they have to be right, because if they're not right, it just messes up everything. So you and I and all our government agencies, businesses, financial institutions, investment houses, all of us, we rely on this data to make decisions about how to run our businesses, how to run the government, how to make decisions about investments. We look at these numbers. Maybe it should be a top priority right now. Maybe the president, since he's going to make the change, maybe this is the time. Maybe we need a super genius to head up this agency. Maybe we need to go out and give $100 million signing bonus to get one of these guys that's heading over a Meta, or is it working at DeepMind? Maybe we need one of these really brilliant statisticians, not just some career bureaucrat who's been moving up the ranks, who apparently hasn't got a leadership bone in her body to be able to go in and start changing the stats in order to bring them up to current standards, to be able to use all the technologies, all the AI and everything else, all the computer wizardry that we have now to make these things great. I mean, look at what Trueflation is doing, whether I think their numbers were right a year and a half ago when I stopped using them, whether I think they're maybe doing a better job now, whatever it is, it's current. It's today. Now, if it's bad, what did I do? I fired them. When I thought Trueflation wasn't doing a good job, not only did I fire them, but I brought them on the channel. I don't know if you remember that, if you've been watching the channel for a long time. I actually called them up or emailed them, whatever, got them on the channel to talk about where I thought they were messing up. And they said, oh, well, okay, thank you very much. And we'll see if we can do better. I think they are doing better. But you know what their numbers are saying right now? They're saying we're at 2.1% inflation. That's current. That's right now, today. We're at 2.1% year over year inflation. And if that's true, then the Fed should be cutting because, as they said before, you want to get it on the way down before it gets to 2, not after it's at 1.5. By the way, the overnights on trueflation are more like 1.67. But the Democrats, no, they're not going to recognize that there's a problem. They're not going to say, oh, yeah, the Bureau of Labor Statistics has been screwing up for a long time, and they're about 100 years behind the times in terms of their methodologies. No, they're not going to say that. They're not going to say, oh, yeah, maybe having a career bureaucrat that's just been rising up through the ranks might not have any vision, may not have any kind of the leadership skills that would say, hey, what are we going to do now to make this way better than it's ever been before? But rather, getting horrible numbers. I can assure you, if somebody in my company, any one of the companies I've owned over the years, if anybody in the company had come to me and given me those bad numbers 1 month, they would have been fired. 1 month. I'm mad at Trump, not because he's firing the BLS. I'm mad that he didn't fire her in February, just based on the way that she'd been running things up till then. He said, it's horrible at the end of the year. It looked political. I don't know if it was political. I'm not going to make the case it was political. Might have been. This might have been political. I don't know. I can't prove it one way or the other. I can't be sure whether there's any kind of an effort by her or by anybody in the department to mess up these numbers. All I can tell you is they're horrible. The problem, and they're getting worse. It's not that they're getting better, they're getting worse. So the problem with the Democrats, they're too stupid to actually parse out this issue. They're too stupid to decide which issues they need to really go, hit Trump hard, and which issues to say, oh, that was probably a good decision to fire the BLS gal because these numbers are just crazy. So this latest example is just illustrative. It's important. It's very important to the economy, to markets, to Tesla, to the coming golden age. If we don't have the right numbers, are we going to be able to get the AGI, the future age of abundance that we're all looking for? Democrats think that their current mandate is just to criticize and everything that the president is doing. It has to be something horrific. It has to be something that is dictatorial or looking like a banana republic. But no, all of the things that he's doing do not fit into that category. Of course, as someone who likes Trump, I don't think any of the things fit in that category. But it's just ridiculous to think that every single thing that they can put that brand on it and hope that that's going to convince people. The attitude of the Democrats right now is that I think it's emblematic of their approach. They look absolutely stupid by firing off their claims over and over and over again. I don't think it's going to work. So what we're going to be talking about later today. So I wanted to get this off my chest because it's very specific. I didn't want to take a ton of time when Larry and I later today, when we were talking about the Cathie Wood report, I could have done this 15, 20 minutes on there and it would have made it an hour and a half. I didn't want to do that. The Cathie Wood report is going to be outstanding today. I can tell you right now, I've already taken a look at what she had to say. If you want to go take a look at it yourself, obviously you can go do that, or you can just listen to Larry and my analysis of it. I will tell you that I don't agree with a few things that Cathie had to say this month. What I will tell you right now, again, just to take one little more moment, is the government job. I'm sorry. If to the extent that the labor numbers got anything right yesterday, it was probably the 4.2% unemployment rate. This is a survey. It's a little easier to manage, and it's probably true that the unemployment rate is 4.2. The other numbers, they're all over the place. But if the unemployment number is 4.2, then guess what? That's a good print. That's an excellent print. That means the economy's fine. I don't know. I think that's what the Democrats are missing that entirely. Even some Republicans, even some commentators that I trust are looking only at the revision. only at the raw numbers. They're not looking at the fact that it's 4.2. And nobody, as I mentioned yesterday, nobody's talking about the impact of immigration on these job numbers, because if you don't have 2 million people coming in every year, and if you got maybe 1 million people going out this year, it's going to impact the jobs numbers. You got to take that into consideration. It is critical to the analysis. Nobody except for USA Today, they were the one resource that has mentioned it. Nobody even picked up on that except me. Does that make sense to you? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think there's any way that that's not impacting the jobs numbers? I think it is. Anyway, let me just say this. Do I think the economy might be a tad slow right now? Maybe. Not recessionary, a tad slow? Maybe. But not this. This is not it. So I guess I'll end my rant. I seem to be going on and on, but I'll end the rant now. Come back later tonight, see Larry and I. That'll be on probably around 3-ish, 3:15, 3:30 California time. And then I'll be back again with the regular Saturday Tesla, what's going on with Tesla news, as well as any other general news of the day, like I report on every Saturday. Okay, that's all I got for you right now. As usual, it has been great talking to you.